Hi, Tony Warfield. First off, let me apologize for the crudeness of this video. A lot of the questions that my clients have for me, I thought were very, very fantastic. But one in particular, I thought I should actually record my own personal testimony for it. Why do I need help with restoring my credit? It's a good question. It's a very good question. But before I answer that, I should probably tell you a little bit of my story. Um, Veteran, I was in the Air Force for a number of years. When I left the military back in 1997, I got out of the military, and I immediately got great jobs. I mean, immediately. As soon as I got out, flight engineer for the Air Force, did well, traveled around the world, 47 countries, the whole resume, all great. Started working for a few international companies where they required me to do additional travel, and I had a really good time. Financially, I did very well. Made over six figures every year, and took care of my family, took care of my responsibilities, and did really great. And then I started doing some investments, which also went very great. Um, but then back in 2001 and then again in 2009, my finances took a really big hit. Now, keep in mind, I was doing very well financially, so I was fiscally responsible. My credit was just below 800, and I was doing very well. But after 2001, that initial crash, and then of course everyone got hit back in 2009. You're talking about multiple six figure losses, and it really hurt me, mainly because got laid off a couple of jobs. I had a couple of businesses, brick and mortar businesses that I just didn't have enough funding, and I was really funding them out of pocket, and it just chewed up a lot of the money that I had in my savings. The stock market crashes ate up my portfolio, so I was hemorrhaging money. It was just crazy, crazy. And then I started living off of credit cards, and of course you could only live off of those for so long. And then next thing you know, I'm still thinking I can get these businesses going, I can do well, and I just couldn't. And then finally, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna have to just go back into the workforce. I had been trying to find a job prior to that, but I was really, really hell bent on getting building my businesses. Didn't work out at all. And I had tried for so long, for a number of years, and I consider myself a reasonably intelligent guy. I got a few skills. I got quite a few connections, and I had a few things going for me. I always knew how to make money, but I guess my biggest challenge is, even though I knew how to make money, it was really an issue of keeping it, and that's where I got into a lot of trouble. Um, I had tried to find a job for so long, and it just wouldn't happen. And it wasn't until I'm going to say to 2015, the end of 2015, when I actually finally started understanding why I wasn't able to find a job. It wasn't that I was not qualified or anything. I would actually go to job interviews, and I would ace them. I mean, I would do so well in a job interview. I'd get introduced to everybody from the lowly engineer to the CEO of the company. Everybody thought I was fantastic. And then at the end of the interview, the walk arounds, the introductions, and everything, uh, they would say that fateful thing. Hey, you know what? We're looking forward to you getting on board. All we need to do is just get past a background check. I got no criminal history, none of that stuff, financial, all that stuff. But for some reason, they would do a background check, and then I would get we went with another person, we went with another candidate, and they would never tell me why. For me to be loved, on the surface, and then they go through the background check, it just went silent. And this was going on for years, and of course, I've always had some kind of business where I made some kind of money. I had to eat. So I was very effective, and like I said, very effective in procuring money some way somehow. I got children, I got to take care of my responsibilities, um, but I could never figure out why I couldn't get myself back onto a regular job. And next thing I know, I thought I was blacklisted. I'm not gonna lie, I thought I was blacklisted, and it was just really, really crazy. So back in the end of 2015, uh, I just had enough. I mean, I tried and tried and tried for so long, and I finally got myself connected. I went to one of those work source places in Gardena, California, and they actually connected me with a veteran specialist, veteran Air Force, veteran specialist in Compton, California, and there I met a guy who connected me with a number of people out of Los Angeles, and I mean, this was a great connection because they had some job openings for veterans in the Los Angeles area, and luckily for me, I went ahead and I got on with them, and got a couple of really great jobs because of it, and thankfully, it started off working for one French company, and then I worked for another company here based in Los Angeles, and I ended up leaving. And this is all in the span of the past couple of years. And now my third position is with another job, which I absolutely love. It allows me to travel, and it allows me to, take care of some of my business in terms of being an entrepreneur and being able to have time with my family and whatnot. And the strangest thing is, it's a blessing that I have the job, and it's a blessing that I managed to get through that storm I went through for so many years. But I was still confused at why I went through it at all. And I found out. I have a financial mentor. She had kept telling me that she wanted me to take a look at restoring my credit. I never really thought about my credit. My credit was sitting at a 784. Of course, it was a lot less than that because some of the challenges I've had. But I really didn't know how bad my credit was. My credit actually dropped to 484, and I started realizing something when I started working with this credit company. Some of the things I learned about credit I thought were significant. For example, if you have bad credit, a lot of positions that you might be interested in applying for, you won't even be considered if you have bad credit. You can imagine any financial institution. A lot of the jobs I get are in the oil and gas industry, and we're handling a lot of materials, high dollar materials, working on high dollar equipment, and they want people who are reasonably trustworthy to be working on these different machines and around some of this equipment. So it was really poignant to find out that a lot of the challenges that I had were directly or indirectly related to my credit history. And I was like, wow, well, what else? What else is my credit? What else does my credit have to do with my lifestyle? And as I continued to learn, I started realizing, man, you know what? I really wish I would have learned this when I was in school, because once again, the military gave me a skill set that allowed me to get some great jobs, make some great money. But one of the most important skills that I never got coming up was how to keep that money. Now you've heard about savings accounts and cash deposits and, investing and 401ks and all this other stuff. All that stuff is kind of like surface stuff that you hear from an employer that goes as a benefit. But no one really gives you the education that you need to be able to make that money and keep that money, manage that money properly. And the crazy thing is, without that knowledge, you can really do a lot of damage to your financial present and your financial future, and you will spend months, well, weeks, months, even years to get out of it. Some people file Chapter 7 bankruptcy, a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, and that takes up to 10 years to get off of your credit, but while you're going through that 10-year stretch, I mean, that's a long time for you to be having credit problems and being denied employment and being denied additional credit, even being denied a place to stay. So, how often, and it even happened to me, you're looking to rent. And that's another conversation. But you're looking to rent, and they won't even accept you because your credit is not good enough. And these people want their money. They want 2, 3, even sometimes even more down payment for you to be able to rent an apartment. I mean, that's crazy. So I guess that's a long way of me telling you that we find ways to do things, and it makes sense. You got yourself in trouble and you want to be able to get yourself out of it. It makes sense. But the one thing about whether it be your finances or whether it be your personal life or in any part of life, if you get yourself in trouble, you can actually work on getting yourself out of it, but it could take a long time. Really, it took me years to be able to get in that trouble, and it took me years to be able to get out of the trouble. And it wasn't until I got the education to where I learned how to get out of the trouble faster. And I'm very thankful I did, because it took me years. There's a couple of items on my credit report that I just never could ever fix, and then I got some help, and in the span of a few months, it's all gone. Everything's been corrected. My credit score is shooting up, and all of a sudden, all kind of opportunities started opening up for me. I ended up becoming a member of the local chamber of commerce, being able to connect with some city leaders, being able to meet some employers, being able to meet other entrepreneurs, being sought after to participate in various events where you get to participate with some really, really high powered people who are forward thinking and have some really great things going on. So basically you go from being in a dark or in a storm and not having any opportunities to where people start inviting you to do things, and you start to living. And I start realizing life is not about quantity. You can live to be 100 years old, but you'll never you never lived. You just existed, versus being able to live, to be able to enjoy the quality of life. And that's what's important to me, being able to be a father to my children and be able to show them that you can go through a storm but still be able to get out of that storm and actually propel yourself even further. But we are relational beings, okay? We might, even when we were born, we weren't really born by ourselves, because our mom was there, obviously. And if we're lucky enough to have a doctor and maybe a father, it'd be great too. But our mom was there, so we were never born alone. And I don't know what your religious persuasion is, but God is always there, so we were never alone anyway. So being relational beings, it makes sense to me that if you get in trouble and you have someone who's already been down that road, they can probably guide you in such a way to help you shorten the time that you are to get back on your feet. It took me years. And it wasn't until I had conversations with a couple of people that knew what was going on, that had connections or had the guidelines or had the education to be able to help me get through these things. So I'm very thankful for that. So, going back to the original question, why would I need help having my credit restored? Well, let's be honest. You're going to be saving time, and once again, you can do it yourself, but if you could do it yourself, you probably would have had it done already. And the truth is, a lot of people don't even know that there are steps that you can take to be able to get out of financial trouble, to be able to get your credit straightened out, to be able to get a job, to be able to get a credit card, to be able to rent an apartment. And I mentioned rent again. Rent is a trap, but a lot of people, they can't qualify to buy a house. They can't qualify to even get a rent. But if you get yourself in a situation where you need a place to stay and you can get yourself renting, right now rent is, well, I'm in Los Angeles, so it's insane around here. You're talking about $1,200, $1,400, $1,600, $2,000 to rent a studio, a single, 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom. You're talking about thousands of dollars. So if you can afford that, you can imagine if you're paying, say you're paying $1,500, $1,600 in rent. If you can pay $1,600 in rent, you can pay a $1,600 mortgage. But a lot of people can't do that because their credit's not good enough. If they want to apply for a home, but a bank won't trust you because your FICO score is sitting at 513, right? And if you were to look at your credit report is not as devastating as you would think. A lot of my clients, they might have had low 500s, but their low 500s are because they got a credit report that's just littered with collections, charge-offs, and stuff that should have really been deleted. But because they haven't been good stewards of their credit, and the credit bureaus, they make money off of your credit, so they're not going to get rid of that, even if it is by law they're supposed to. So being able to have someone give you the information to be able to help you get out of that situation sooner will help you enjoy the quality of life sooner, and then you can grow from there. And then the great thing about that is you're going to know, yourself and myself for sure, but you might know a few people who might be going through the same challenges. And here's the deal: many of us have children, and Imagine we were children ourselves and our parents probably didn't know, because if they knew, they would have told us. But now this is an opportunity for us to tell them how to be better stewards of their finances, to be better stewards of their credit, to be able to have quality of life rather than just quantity of life, be able to make proper choices. Why? Because if you know more, you do more. If you know better, you do better. You know. And now that I know better, I'm definitely doing better. But most importantly, I want to help others do better as well. So if you're listening to this video, it's a good chance that let's say your credit might need a little help. You know, if you're sitting around with a 620 or below, or you're looking to get a 740 just so you can qualify at a great interest rate, or you want to refinance, you just want to get a car, you want to get a place to stay, you want to get a job, you know, that might require you to take a couple of extra steps outside of what you've already done to be able to position yourself to be able to benefit from having that credit. Because really, it's just like being in school. You know, the teacher always loves the kids that get A's versus the kid that does not, you know. And an A would be a better FICO score. An A would be an opportunity for you to be able to go in there with just your signature, or be able to walk in and go in with a smile and a pen. You know, be able to get that apartment, be able to get that car, be able to get that house, be able to get that credit card, be able to enjoy quality of life. And then if you want to pull it back a little bit, be able to work a little bit less, but still be able to get what you deserve. Because too many of, I mean, you know, this is true. How many times have you had to do too many things to do one thing? You know, like you got to go to a check cashing place to be able to cash your check. Then you need to go get a money order over here, and you need to do all this other stuff just so you can pay your light bill. Why? Because they don't take your check, and they don't trust your check. Or you don't have a debit card because you don't have a debit card because you can't have a bank account, because you can't have a bank account because you're worried about tax liens, you're worried about garnishments, you're worried about somebody just taking all the money out of you. I mean, this happens. This happened to me. You know, so you don't have a bank account. You end up getting a secured credit card, or you get, you know, some check cashing card or something like this, just so you can keep your money to yourself rather than some financial institution taking it because you have a collection against you, or you have a garnishment or a judgment. You know, I mean, this is true. This happens to too many people, especially after 2009. So you understand that, you know, a lot of the steps that you're taking right now, if you have a credit challenge, a lot of the steps that you're taking right now, they might be 4 or 5 steps more than you really have to take. But in order for you to shorten those steps, you need to take an additional step to be able to secure your finances. And that's why I really believe that having someone assist you in help, or assist you in making sure you are better stewards of your credit, better stewards of your finances, you will find that in the long run, you will have an easier time doing the things that you shouldn't really have to have a hard time doing, you know. And I mean, excuse me for just being a bit exhausted, but I remember, man, I remember when I couldn't qualify for a car, I couldn't qualify for a place to stay, all because I couldn't qualify for a job. And a lot of us who are entrepreneurial minded, you still need seed money. So imagine you want to be that baker, you want to be that tax person, you want to have this particular business or whatever, but you still need seed money. And a lot of us use our employment to be able to seed the money for our businesses. Without the job, you don't have the seed money. You've already borrowed enough money from someone else. You still haven't paid that $5 back to your Uncle Pete. You know what I'm saying? So these kind of things really kind of jar you out, and then you start forgetting about the dream that you had in the beginning, you know. And then what happens when you're 12 years old and all those dreams you had then, and then you become an adult and you run into financial troubles, all those dreams start to die because you're too busy trying to make sure you can make ends meet, you know. So you're on a top ramen diet, living in a cardboard box, living off of borrowing money from family and friends. How long is that going to last? You know, so at some point we have to take personal responsibility and start taking care of our finances and be better stewards of our credit, being better stewards of our finances. And then we can stand on our own 2 feet, and then we can look ourselves in the mirror and be proud that even though we had a storm, we made it through that storm. And now we can be a testimony and a blessing to others by sharing that testimony. So that's that's my conversation I'm going to have for you right now. And to give you just a little bit more, I'm excited because as a veteran, a lot of veterans come back from various duty stations. They get out, and let's be real, the military was basically all they had. So they, even though they have these high skill sets, they end up not being able to find employment. They because they might have had some challenges in the military. They end up on the street, and they end up without a lot. And I don't care where you're from. I don't care what you look like. I don't care what your gender is. I don't care what your sexual orientation is. Homelessness sucks. And unfortunately, because of the way this economy is, and it's true, because of the way this economy is, the way this country is structured, a lot of people who don't have the education they need to be secure, they end up falling through the cracks. And I did. Thankfully, I didn't fall as far as I could have fallen, but a lot of people have. So if you have an opportunity to learn how to strengthen yourself financially, and you have an opportunity to end the storm that you're in right now and be able to come out of it shining, I think it's a good idea. And why do I need to pay to have someone help me with? Well, we pay for our car insurance, we pay for our homeowners insurance, we even pay for life insurance. But we don't pay for lifestyle insurance. And I guess I look at it as, what, I will pay whatever it takes so I don't have to go back and deal with that storm again. Thankfully, it's not that much, but it's important to me that I show my son and my daughters that, no matter what happens to you, no matter what you might run into, you have the power to move forward. And a lot of that power and a lot of that courage comes from your ability to trust, your ability to realize that you're not in this alone, and you're not, but you have to understand that, pride and ego and selfishness and stubbornness, they only yield what you got right now. If you have a lot of struggles, a lot of challenges right now, it is the summation of some decisions that you've made. And you're human. You're going to make mistakes every now and again, but you're also human, and you have other humans that are willing to help. So I'm sorry, that's a long way of answering your question, but I must impress upon you that it's important. Life is too short. If you spend 10-20% of your life struggling, and 25% of your life sleeping, and 25% of your life working, then the rest of your life is going to be stress. So your 100% of your life is not going to be a whole lot of fun. So you have control over that. But it's just a simple decision. So you can choose to get out of this trouble. And if you choose not to make a choice, then you've chosen to continue to struggle. And that's not something I would wish on anybody. I sure as heck wish I didn't have to go through it, but I'm thankful that I did, because I learned a lot from it, that's for sure. I don't miss it though. I don't miss it, but things are better, and things will be better for you too. So thank you for sharing this time with me. My name is Tony Warfield. If you have any questions, believe me, you can contact me anytime. I look forward to it, and I look forward to you stepping up for your life and being able to take advantage of the quality of life that you solely deserve. Thank you so much for your time. Bye-bye.